Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of Offensive Security Club, where we'll be going over Recon and Enumeration, but we have a few items to get through before we start that presentation. So, first things first, attendance.offsec.club, same old thing every week. Please fill this out so we can get numbers to report to our parent computer club, and so then they can report all the attendances they need. So, fill that out. It's going to be the same link as always, so do that sometime. Thank you. Moving on, we had one current event submitted for this week. There was an Android Firefox exploit that allows you to run whatever um, code on the phone that you want. I think in this proof of concept video, it just opens the dialer to 1337. Yep, right there. So we have that. There's some more info at that link up there. As always, if you want to submit something, you can. There's a form at ce.offsec.club that you can go fill out to do that. Moving on, I will hand things over to Kyle Corman to talk for a little bit about the CPTC team, and then we will go right on into Shane has an announcement, and then he'll go right into his presentation. So, floor is yours, Kyle.
Hi. So this is the team after we got all of our applications. Thank you to everyone who applied. So we have those 6 at the top. Those are the people on the team, and then we have 2 alternates in case someone has to leave the team for whatever reason. Again, yeah, thank you to everyone who applied. We had, some judges working magic in the background, so that was nice. And this is the team we ended up with. They are currently waitlisted for the competition because the US regions have all filled up, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, hopefully, the team actually does get to compete in this competition. So that's all I got. Now over to you, Shane.
Hello. So, Noob to Root. Excellent name, I know. So we're trying to do a collaboration, partially with DefSec, to get new aspiring hackers more experienced. The best way to learn is to do things. So here's doing things. If you go to the slides link right here, then you can click here for a document with more details. If you're a competitor, you can sign up here, and we also would really like mentors for the competitors. So if you would like to mentor people and help out, you can click there. Welcome to Recon and Enumeration. A question says, not going to talk about zero logon. I think we did that previously.
Yep, we did that last week.
Did that last week. Thank you, questions. Next, welcome to the cyber zone, or the hackosphere. Take your pick. Either way, there are emojis. There are 2 things, assuming that you're unfamiliar with, Hack the Box or other competitions like that, which I don't think anyone watching is, but if you were, they say enumerate, 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 times X. And this is the #1 piece of advice people seem to give and get. And it just means look more, right? Because if you don't see things, you can't know things. And if you don't know things, you can't hack things. Number 2 is try harder. Like like Logan said last week, people just tell you to try harder, which is usually not the most helpful thing. But it does kind of imbue, like, you need to figure this out on your own, and that's the best way to learn. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't know. People have opinions. So recon and enumeration, I think, are the most important things if you're going to try to hack a system or something, or attack it, use your terminology. Because even if you are a cyber wizard, you can't do anything if you don't know anything. So in my mind, recon is more like OSINT passive. Like if you're doing recon on something, you're not scanning any of their servers, you're not contacting them directly, you're doing like OSINT or third-party information. While enumeration is the scanning, exploring, dir busting, etc., like actually touching their network. So we're going to be doing external enumeration in the super cool lab that definitely won't break. Internal enumeration, I don't even know if that's a real thing, but it would involve running priv scripts, looking around the file system, and trying to find avenues for privilege escalation, or trying to find PII to exfiltrate. We'll have another meeting on that later. So a thing to note is for Hack the Box and other competitions, there usually isn't like a scenario. There isn't any LARPing or OSINT for you to recon. For big competitions like CPTC, they will have like an OSINT phase where you have to research things. And like sometimes you get valuable things. Like last year we ripped a private key from a GitHub repo history or something. That'd be cool. That's Recon. You're touching GitHub and not their servers directly. So I would count that as Recon and not enumeration. But yeah. So pictures. Recon OSINT is like surveying a neighborhood through binoculars. And then enumeration is like trying the doorknobs, trying the handles, and seeing if they open. Gosh, I love stock photos. So since we're not going to be talking about Recon OSINT much, because that's difficult to set up a lab for, some cool tools are Sherlock, which will show you people's social media accounts, like if they reuse a username. The Harvester, which combines a lot of data a bunch of sources, and the Wayback Machine, which is very common in OSINT challenges. To like the Wayback Machine, if you're not familiar with it, takes snapshots of websites at certain dates, so you can go back in time if the Wayback Machine visited it then. And you know, social media. Welcome to the lab. So if things break, please be patient because it is kind of very jank. So the scenario, we've been hired for a black box pen test. We're just given a domain. That domain happens to be slipstack.info. This is actually one of my domains. Please don't like DOS it. And we found an SSH server with cred. So let's hop right in. So it's on port 4013. Great. So password one bang. So you are a sudo on the system, so don't nuke it, please. If you need that again, the creds are right here. But essentially what we're going to be doing is we go in and then we scan an external server, and through our enumeration powers, we find a avenue to get root on the system. So this is a box now we're like inside the network. So hello, cybers. Yeah, okay. I figured that would happen. One moment. All right, so we're on the, okay, this is kind of hard to visualize, but I don't have paint. So we SSH into the, like, if here was the network, we use our magic tunnel over the internet through SSH to get inside the network. So now we can access things that normally wouldn't be exposed to the internet. So we're going to pivot from this box, which happens to be a very nice Kali box, into the target box. But first we need to find what the target is. We can do IPA, and we see that we are on. If we do IPA, we see that our Ethernet 0 interface is on 192.168.1.something.24. It's 107. But the network is 192.168.1.0.24. And if you're not familiar with this, it's CIDR syntax, which means the last 8 bits, or this octet, are irrelevant for determining the network. So what we're going to do is we're going to run ARP-scan. ARP-scan, if you haven't used it before, ARP is address resolution protocol, and essentially things on a LAN that are talking to each other through a switch rather than a layer 3 router use ARP. This is IPv4 only. So I can be like ARP-scan 192.168.1.0/24, and I'm going to need sudo. And if we do it, we see there's .1, which is probably a Palo or a firewall or pfSense or something, and then 105, which seems to be our target because there's only 2 boxes. Cool. I'm glad the box hasn't been RM'd yet. So if you want to map a network, what would you do? Nmap. Network mapper. I assume most of you have heard of this or used it. So network map. It also is really loud. Like if someone's running an EDR or watching logs, they're probably going to see you try to scan it. So if you're trying to be super uber stealthy, this is not the route to go, or at least not without severe precautions. If you're unfamiliar with the Nmap syntax, the simplest syntax we can get is just nmap target. I've taken the liberty of aliasing target to the actual IP. So we'll talk more about this file later. Don't look at that. So this, by default, it only scans the 1,000 most common ports. Cool trick, if you want to see what these top ports are, you can run this command, which has a lot of flags, but essentially just prints them. This means like standard in, this little dash, and this means output greppable. I assume that means verbose. Anyway, hey, I'm not answering that question, that's for later. So if we look at the output of our nmap scan, so I can write nmap target or I can write nmap 192.168.1.05. It'll say a bunch of garbage up here, and not so that's 2 of the 1,000 ports were open. MAC address because we're on the same network, and then Nmap done. You did it. Great job. So we see 22 TCP, so that's the port number, and that's the port protocol. So TCP, UDP, those are the 2 main ones for layer 4. And then the service is SSH. This is just a guess based on the port number. Yeah. So we see SSH. What do we want to do? Can we hack SSH? Probably not. Because usually when SSH is presented to you when it's exposed, it's not the first avenue of attack, right? Because there's nothing you can really do to it. There haven't been any severe vulnerabilities since like 2003, because OpenBSD is pretty good. So if you see it, it's probably a waste of time to attack it first, unless it's like a really weird home-baked version of SSH, which probably isn't. But however, it's often used. If you find creds somewhere, or if you find a public key or a private key, that's probably the way to go afterwards. Once you find those creds, like it's the next step. Enumerating web, we also saw. I swear to God. Okay. So anyway, so it also showed us HTTP was open. So enumerating web, this is the web protocol, hypertext transfer protocol. And for your viewing pleasure, I have tunneled it out to slipstack.info and then port 4012. Unfortunate. Oh yeah. Well, it thought things were gonna break, but I didn't think this soon. Okay, so 4013 is tunneled over SSH, 2011 is dead, and that sites up. Sometimes it'd be like that. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to access the website from outside the environment. Since this was working before, I can only assume someone took the liberty of destroying or accidentally breaking the WordPress site. It was a WordPress site. All it had was a meme post on it. Let's see if we can still actually hit it. It's just going to be on target or 192.168, 1.80. Sorry, 1.105. Yeah, okay. So it was a WordPress site. I wonder if I can resuscitate it. So let's go on a troubleshooting adventure. Why is the WordPress site not up? Usually you don't have to fix your target's website. So don't follow redirect. Okay. Yeah, it is. Well, I tunneled it out. Question said, looks like your WordPress site is redirecting to 4012. And it is, so you can access it outside the environment. But that is interesting. Thanks. So if I kill this one, that was 4011. Oopsies. Okay. Yeah. I just killed the SSH tunnel. Okay, well, time to go back into the lab. So this was actually an iLab the entire time. I tricked you, tricked all of you. You never saw it coming. So if we go over here, we can actually just see the website, which I'm going to do because, sorry for killing all your guys' SSH, by the way. All right, so you should be able to SSH back into it now. Yeah, password one bang. Okay, so we out here. But anyway, let's check out the website from actually inside the environment. Because you see this one is an SSH tunnel to 4012, which is the TCP, the target. Die. What the heck? Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna say it was a WordPress site. You guys just trust me on that one. Escalating to root was sudo-i. So the things you want to check the certificate, because it usually contains juicy info. I've seen that in 2 boxes, and I haven't done very many boxes lately. But both of them have extra info in the certificate. So this one is an HTTP site, if it was up, so that wouldn't apply, but still. You can also check the robots.txt, like if we go to google.com robots.txt, they'll probably have something. Yeah, so this is for web crawlers to see like don't index /? for Git parameters. You disallow /coup /directory for reasons, who knows? This is just instructions for the robot. So often, a very entry-level CTF thing is they'll say disallow /long secret path, and that will prevent well-meaning robots from indexing it, but it won't prevent people doing a CTF. Great. If you want more of this stuff, you can go to Over the Wire Wargames NATAS. Okay. Which is a web wargame. A question says, do robots need to conform to that file? Presumably referring to Google robots. They don't need to, but if they're nice, they will. So NATAS teaches the basics of server-side web security. So this is good if you're trying to get into web CTFs. Next, more Nmap. So the easiest thing to do, of course, is Nmap target, but if you want to do the classic IPsec service, this runs default scripts for a service, and this runs versioning on those services. So if you want to know exactly what version it is, and if you want to run like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense if you don't know what Nmap scripts are, but essentially it will just take, once it finds a service, it'll run a set of default scripts to enumerate more about that service. Like if it's SMB, I think it'll try to log on with a null session, or if it's like FTP, it'll see if anonymous, or if it's SMB again, it'll like check the time. So things like that. So if you don't know what you're looking for, this can be a huge help. So let's nmap SC for service scripts and SV for service versioning. So obviously not very helpful because we already knew SSH was OpenSSH and it's a current version, and Nginx is also a current version. However, when you don't know what to do next, because the HTTP site was a dead end anyway, you should check all ports. So you can do nmap-p- for all ports. So doing that, we see there's 22, 80, and 1613. And it says it's net build key rep, which doesn't make sense. So let's do service scripts and service versioning to hopefully get an accurate service analysis. You can press up arrow if you want to see how long it's taking. I guess not. There we go. So it says it's about 30% done, but it's never accurate. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be like that. So we're going to ignore it and just test it out manually. More Nmap things. If you want to check UDP ports, like SNMP will only run on UDP, or a DNS server that's blocking zone transfers, so it blocks TCP, then you can do -su. I'm pretty sure you guys get the gist of how syntax works here now. You can do su. Which, again, will take forever. If you want to make it go faster, you can do, I think it's max retries, and like 1, and then I'll make it go significantly faster. But it still takes a long time, and I am lazy. So this thing I didn't know was a thing until recently, but if you do verbose, if I want to nmap the target verbosely, it'll tell me when it finds an open port. So it says discovered open port 22 and that. So if you want to get to a port as soon as possible and you don't want to wait for it to finish scanning everything, then you can do that. If you want to increase the speed of it, you can do T4 or T5. I don't even know what that stands for. For faster execution. Okay, T stands for timing says questions. Thank you very much. It makes it go faster. So T1 is slower than normal. All right, onto that. So there are a lot of miscellaneous scanners like WP Scan or Nikto that I haven't really ever found useful except in very niche cases. So you can do like WP Scan target, which won't work because, oh right, -- URL. and WordPress is broken right now. But if it wasn't, that would probably work. Or you could do Nikto, which just tells you general things that are wrong, and it has like 40 red herrings, or like, this thing's out of date. It's not rejecting X clicked by header. But I've never found any of those useful. So you might find them, but I haven't had success with it. So a side note thing that I want to explain before it becomes a plot point is when you go to a website, it can decide what to serve you. So when you go to like offsec.club, you'll see that it presents to you this page. But if you went to, even if you connected to the same server, if you connected with a different host name, like this thing up here, like if you, let's say we go to questions.offsec.club, it will present a different site. Even though technically this isn't the same machine, if it was, it could make a decision based on your host provided here and give you a different server. So it would appear like a different box, a different server, but it's actually just the same thing. Those are called virtual hosts. So the example I wrote here is if you go to cool1.example.org and it goes to the same server, it might give you a different site if you go to cool2, etc. Another thing that we showed before, if we go to Etsy hosts, you can write things. So let me go on my real machine here. If you go into Etsy hosts here, oh wait, no, don't look at that. If you can write an IP, so if I want to be Google now, I could be like 0.01 google.com. And then when I go to google.com, it will fail because I am Google. Fantastic. Someone said nmap-os is leet speak output, so I'm going to try that. Unfortunate. I think someone removed it from Etsy host. They sure did. Wait, no, they didn't. Right, that's output, so I need to put it afterwards. It is leet speak format. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Questions, for showing me this. So I hope that's a good explanation of virtual hosts and Etsy hosts. Maybe. So we have a web server. Now we know it's an HTTPS server. Well, we don't, but we could have. I'm just going to let that run. So it's an HTTPS server on port 1613. Oopsies. Need to run all ports because, again, it only runs on the top 1,000 common ports. Okay, so we see SSL cert right here for port 1613. So that gives us a very strong hint that it's HTTPS. So now that we know it's a website, we should probably go to it. First step. So if I go to HTTPS info, I have tunneled it out just for you guys on port 4011. There we go. That one works. So this is the HTTPS site that's being served to us right now by the other box on the network. That's kind of hard to see the topology, but actually I have the topology. I have the power. It looks like this. So the attacker and the target box are connected to the pfSense. So we're on this one and we're attacking the target box. Great. So if you want to find directories, like what if there was a secret directory called I wouldn't know because there's no like index unless you have open indexes. So GoBuster and FFUF, maybe? Corbin recommended that a while ago. I haven't used it as much, but it looks really neat. I usually use GoBuster. So the syntax for that is GoBuster dir for directories. And then the URL, so it's going to be HTTPS. And then I'm going to say target port 1613. And then you pass the word list. So this is like a long list of words that allows you to. So this is if we just read just actually I can do, no, I can't. It's just a list of words. Interesting. User, share, word list, derb, common. There we go. So this is just a list of words so if you had /xfer on your website and you ran this command, it would know because it would reach out to the web server with that sub path, and then it would tell you if it found something that wasn't a 404. Someone said GoBuster versus Dirbuster, brothers from another mother, or different somewhat. Yes, I think Dirbuster is much older. I think Dirbuster's, yeah, okay, so Dirbuster is actually the GUI version from OWASP. Derb is the older command line version, so it looks like this. Yeah, you got the Dark Raver. And GoBuster is a newer version written in Golang by OJ and I think Firefart. Legendary names. Yeah. So GoBuster is faster, I think is the gist. But Fuff is also written in Golang, and it's pretty fast. So let's actually run that command. So GoBuster U, and then the domain, and then the wordless user share wordless common.txt. Derb. Forgot derb. It doesn't know U? Oh, dir. Error running, invalid certificate. So we're going to say GoBuster ignore the certificate with -k. And then we see it got admin and index.html. Okay. So if we check this out, we go to /admin, put a slash on it. Then it says, admin panel goes here, development site is at a different domain. Okay, so we check the source, nothing really useful there, but if we want a different domain, we should probably check the cert. So I'm gonna be like, more information, please. And then I see this was verified by Internet Widgets Party. And if I click view certificate over here, I can see that this is a valid domain for Tristan's fan club slipstack.info. So that's a good hint that we should probably go to that domain. But that isn't a real domain, at least not in DNS. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add it to our host file. So I'm going to add it to this host file. Oh, wait, it was already there. So the syntax for this, as we know previously, is IP address and then hostname. So this is 192.168.1.105, and then Tristan Fan Club, tab it over, cool formatting. So now when we go bust, let's just start a go buster on the new site and then check it out in a web browser. Twist in. Tristan Fan Club.slipstack.info. So it found index and secret, but let's actually check it out in this. I already added it to my host file on my computer, I think. Wow, sometimes it'd be like that. So I'm going to check it out on my host computer, because that's what my web browser is reaching from. So I did remove it. Should probably also remove that. It's if I want the external IP address, I'm gonna have to ns lookup it. So substack.info goes to this IP. So that appears to be the external IP. Tristan fan club. Substack. So theoretically that should work. Aha, so we get something. I had /admin locally, said someone. Oh yeah, but it should still like work. Okay, so it looks like it did work, and we get this wonderful site that says, "Hello, welcome to Cyclops52 Fan Club," and then it has public pictures of Tristan Fletcher. It appears, and his icon. This is quite a discovery, but we're not here to read beautifully designed HTML pages. We're here to hack. So as we saw, as we saw in the GoBuster output, /secret is a thing. So if we head over to this thing again, sorry for the disorientating window swaps, and go to /secret/ folder, we see nothing. It's quite unfortunate. But if we inspect source, we actually see comments that says, leaving creds here because I'm lazy, little W. If you sign, please don't abuse. I trust you guys since we're all Cyclops stands. And then it gives us what looks like a username, colon, and then yeet, 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 which appears to be a password. So I didn't see anywhere that we could put in creds. So I would guess that this is the SSH server. So I'm going to copy the password. Someone asked, how do I join the fan club? I would respond, I don't know, because we haven't hacked into the bowels of this organization yet. So over here, from inside the network, I'm going to try to SSH to it. So I'm going to go for Tristan Fan 99, which was the username in the comment, and then at the target IP address, and then the password yeet, yeet, yeet. Someone said, I'm hacking Tristan's bowels. That is correct, but it's ethical, don't worry. So now we see that that actually worked. The password was yeet, 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 and we've SSH'd into the remote box slipstack. How incredible. Someone said, we're in. You were correct. And now we need to escalate to root. So what we do first, we always do sudo l, and it didn't work. So I'm just going to do sudo I, Just take my password, please. And we're root. We did it, guys. We're rooted. Great work. I don't know. What do you do when you're rooted? When you get root, I think the first thing you do is someone said lowercase l. You're absolutely correct. So we can do everything. So that just means you're a suitor. And if we check Etsy group, it's correct. So we're in suitors. That's probably one of the easier privesks. Yeah, I think the first thing you do when you're in a box. Anyway, so another successful day of hacking. Yeah, so I should have gone to that slide earlier. It's tunneled out at 4011. So I think we hacked it. I think we did a hack. LS doesn't work anymore, so I'm kind of frightened. But let's talk about rabbit holes and red herrings. Rabbit holes are things that look like they could be something, and then it's not. Like it's a hole in the ground that you try to go into, and then it turns out it's just a hole in the ground, and you waste all your time, and now you're covered in dirt, and no one's happy. So the HTTP site, which didn't work, it was a really good site. I'm sad we missed the memes. Or an exposed SSH server that you can't pop Elite 0-day on. Those, I would say, are rabbit holes. Red herrings are something that intentionally distracts you or misleads you, or usually intentionally. So if someone says, like, check out port X for cool hackable server, and it turns out to be not hackable or cool, that would be a red herring. But it's okay to explore these, right? Because after a while, I think you start to get more of a taste for what is a rabbit hole and what isn't. Whereas at the start of your hacking adventure, you're like, can I hack Google through inspect element? Yeah, offset question, more like not cool questions. Roasted, hacked. Anyway, rabbit holes and red herrings. What if it is cool but still not hackable, says a question. Still worth? Depends on it. I do those case by case. So a side note on making your own tools, I should probably full screen this. A side note on making your own tools is not actually that hard to make your own tools. It's just a Python script or a Bash script or pick a language. And you can use them. They will probably work if you make them work. So a question says, can you show us the WordPress site or is it lost forever? Well, I did just arm the box, so I think it's lost forever. It was mostly just meme posts about Tristan Fan Club. So if you want to use them, if you want to use your own tools, I think it makes you like 20% cooler each tool you use that you made. Like we see here, Lucas Howard Miller made a comment scrape tool that would have been helpful to us if we don't know how to press Control U and inspect the source. So side note. Also another side note on Windows tools, because I don't like Windows. How much percent cool is Logan? I think like 4,000. So Windows tools, we didn't talk too much about it, but it's mostly the same concepts, just like different services, different details, different gotchas. So if you want to do Windows things, I don't know why you would, but SMB Unum is a good first start if it has port 445 open. Impacket has a lot of things. You know, people just say run the Impacket examples, and then you do it, and then you get a shell, and it's really cool. Bloodhound is for sleuthing Active Directory environments, and then crapmac exec, I assume, just lets you rain shells if you have creds. And then Empire is for post-exploitation. Someone in the comments said, window bad. Interesting opinion. So here's a summary of basically everything. People say to enumerate, enumerate, enumerate. You probably should. Usually the workflow goes like you nmap it, you use other tools, then you do something manually, and then you get a shell, or like user, or in this case, root. Summary of the box, we had SSH on port 22, a failed WordPress site, and then HTTPS on 1613. The domain name and the cert led us to the other site, and the other site we go busted to find a page with creds that were then useful for SSH. So if you take one thing away from this totally great, not a train wreck of a presentation, it's that Nmap can be used as a port scanner, GoBuster and FFuff are cool, and then WP Scan and Nikto are kind of lame, but you can still use them. That's it. Any concerns? Any questions? Oh yeah, we're gonna go over more things later for Prevesk and like other stages of hacking the box. This isn't just everything. And I think Tristan wants to say things. Thank you for coming.
Yep. So, anyone have any questions for Shane? I don't see anything on questions or the chat. So if anyone in here wants to unmute, or if you want to wait until I kill the stream, that's cool too. Yes, I will mention that, whoever put that in questions. Thank you. Shane, someone's asking you, what's your favorite tool?
My favorite tool, probably GoBuster. It's just so fresh and easy, and I like Go. Thank you for asking.
And then
Besides
they immediately put besides Tristan. Yep. Okay, saw that coming.
No
Oh,
problem.
by the way, you're fired. We'll talk about it later.
Understood.
So, cool. So, any scholarship or internship news or anything fun? I don't know what you mean by that. If you're asking if there's any DSU scholarships or internship news, I do not have anything to give at the time. Has Computer Club done their intern night? When is that? I should know this.
Next week?
Next week, isn't it?
On the 28th.
28th? Okay, thank you. I don't want to pull up Slack. So,
I think.
yeah. So there'll be some people going over various internships from different places and talking about their experiences and a little more. So be sure to tune into that. Not sure if that fully answers your question, but that's the answer I have. Anyone else have anything to bring up? Right. Well, thanks everyone for coming out. If you have not filled out attendance at attendance.offsec.club, please feel free to do that. Someone asked, where do I go for more practice? That is a great question. We actually did a presentation on some places you can go to practice. That is archived on YouTube Offset Club. The TLDR, if you don't want to scrub through that, you can hack the box VulnHub. There's also Try Hack Me. We do Try Hack Me's on Friday nights. Not responding to that question. So we do Try Hack Me on Friday nights. So if you want to try and test your enumeration skills, we'll have more info on that, mostly posted in the OffSec channel on Chrono Popper's Slack. So be sure to look into that. But yeah, just make sure you fill out your attendance, and if you have any more questions, you can feel free to ping us or whatever. But thank you. Have a good night, everyone.